Hey, you. Yes, you. If you've ever experienced a strange or scary story, like a glitch in the Matrix or literally anything else, consider sending it my way by going to astheravendreams.com and clicking the button to do so, or emailing it to astheravendreams@gmail.com. And thank you. Hello again. I hope you and Patience are doing well. I'm in a semi-permanent state of confusion now. It seems that every time I turn around, there are more glitches and Mandela effects happening to me. I don't have a theory, yet, about how glitches occur, except that maybe there's a general breakdown of reality. Be it all of reality or just mine. I quit drinking almost 20 years ago and don't partake in any substances that would cause a mental break. So I'm going with all the reality is glitching out. Or maybe the barriers between the timelines are disintegrating. My experiences with Mandela effects have me leaning more toward quantum immortality as their cause. Maybe the two phenomena are connected somehow. For instance, when something like a ring or necklace duplicates, the duplicate came from a different timeline, just like people who survive fatal accidents, only to realize they're in a different but similar timeline. Some people claim to have simply gone to sleep and woken up in a different timeline. No accidents necessary. I've had too many close calls to count, and likewise too many MEs. Anywho, I'm just thinking out loud instead of telling you my most recent, personal Mandela effect. My aunt lives about 3 hours away from me. When they moved in about 25 years ago, I would visit them for days and sometimes weeks at a time. It's the perfect vacation spot if all you're interested in is peace and quiet and a dip in the pool. When they bought the place, there was a tree growing in the middle of the gravel driveway, in front of the entrance to their garage. And since the four of them had 5 vehicles, they cut the tree out of the way. No one wanted to walk an extra 20 yards from their car to the deck after dark in wolf and Bigfoot-infested woodlands. When I visited in 2015, their daughter had moved and taken her car with her, but their son had bought 3 more. So their fleet had grown to 7, and they had extended their parking lot another 30 yards out to the left of the driveway. Without the tree, there was a clear line of sight from the deck across the parking lot and down into the side yard. Now, let me tell you, I have spent hours sitting on and around their deck watching nature. Deers, raccoons, owls, wolves, and nearly every other creature you can imagine. No Bigfoot, though. One day I watched a squirrel jump off of their 2-story garage and belly flop in the driveway. It sounded like someone threw a bag of flour down on concrete. A hilarious mix of poof and thump. I laughed for 20 minutes straight, and then I had to show everyone his landing zone and laugh even harder. He was fine, by the way. He hit the ground running and squirreled off down the driveway. It didn't occur to me then, but as I'm writing this, I realized that if they hadn't cut the tree down, the squirrel would have landed in the tree. Maybe his reality showed him that the tree was still there when it actually wasn't. There was another tree on the side of the garage that would have been an easy climb down for him instead of going airborne without a chute. Anyways, fast forward to April of this year, I went for my first visit since 2015. My aunt was driving, and when we pulled up to the garage, she had to drive around the tree that, in my previous timeline, had been cut down. Immediately I said, "I thought you cut that tree down." And she said, "No, it's always been there." I was so confused. I just said, "Huh, another Mandela effect," and left it at that. I can't and won't even try to explain it. The tree was there, and then gone, and now it's back like it never went anywhere. Not to mention, it's grown to be taller than the garage, and is so big that you have to do an extensive maneuvering to get around it and into the garage. Somehow, I don't think the word dumbfounded quite covers it. Honestly, I'm not even shocked at new worldwide Mandela effects anymore. I keep thinking about them a little while after they've brought to my attention, but then I just shrug them off. However, I'm probably spending an unhealthy amount of time wondering how many quantum leaps I've made in my lifetime. Trying to pinpoint when each leap took place is a bottomless rabbit hole that I actively avoid. I also wonder how each jump has changed not only things around me, but me as well. If every decision one makes in their life branches off into a new, consequential timeline per choice, as I've heard it said, there are untold numbers of me out there doing things that I'm glad I decided not to do. I used to have a naughty little wild streak, and there aren't enough apologies to go around. Thank you for your time, Raven, and thank you, Patience, for sharing his attention with us. I hope I never leap to a timeline in which you both made different decisions. Hi, Raven. First, thank you for reading my story, whether you narrate it or not. I realize it's a little different than your normal content. I think you're great, and I love your empathy and compassion. Thank you very much. I hope to start my own show someday, and you are a huge inspiration. Aw. I'm not sure how to classify this story. I guess it depends on your beliefs. Maybe these experiences are synchronicities, glitches, maybe paranormal. But please bear with me. My story needs some background. This is a story about a very special cat named Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which is a fantastic name. Cinny, for short. She came to us at age 14. She was bounced around through different households, and she'd recently lost her companion cat. She came to us sad and distressed, but we were able to earn her trust within a month. Cinny had piercing green eyes, tortoiseshell fur, short legs, a bobtail, and a gloriously fuzzy belly that she enjoyed having rubbed every day. She'd flop on the floor, and then roll around until she got her rubs. She wasn't much of a hunter, with the exception of crickets, which she would maim and leave for us. She waddled when she walked, and it was hilarious when she got the zoomies. She slept on me every night and hung out with me on my desk while I worked all day. She became my best friend, the sweetest cat I've ever known. Wicked smart, emotionally intelligent, and so very beautiful. She was with us through many big losses. The pandemic. She was like a little therapist, always there with a rumbly purr and unconditional love. I considered her a soulmate. Given her background, I always wanted her to know that this was her forever home. So every day I told her that I'd love her, always and forever. Cinny became ill earlier this year. I cried for her the best I could, but we learned that she had cancer and our time with her was limited. I kept her as comfortable as possible, and she tried so hard to stay, but she passed on June 10th, 2025. My sincere condolences. I was with her, looking into her eyes, gently petting her and telling her that I would love her, always and forever. I never dreamed that we would be blessed with 6.5 years with her, and I'm so grateful that she made it to 20 years old with a good quality of life. I'm at peace because she had a full life and she's no longer in pain, but I miss her terribly. And now, on to the stories. A few days after she crossed over, I was working at home and wanted a cup of tea. I headed to the kitchen, grabbed a cup, the white and red one that reads "I love my cat," and went to the sink to fill it with water. Movement caught my eye and I realized that there was a giant cricket in the sink. It was alive, but not well, kind of twitching around. So I put it out of its misery while thinking, could that have been a gift from Cinny? The next day was similar. I decided to make a cup of tea, and I kid you not, there was another big cricket in the sink. Alive, but not well. This time I laughed out loud and said, "Thank you for the gift, Cinny." In hindsight, those were the first crickets I had seen all year. Usually we have some in the summer annoying us with their chirping, but I haven't heard a single chirp at all this year, so these were quite a surprise. But there's more. I like to listen to scary stories all day while I work. In addition to you, Raven, I listen to several other narrators and I switch around throughout the day. About a week after Cindy passed, I randomly chose a podcast and started listening. A story came on about a home invasion. I listened as the story described how the submitter's dog saved the day. The dog's name? Cinnamon. The next day I was again working. I found a glitch-related podcast and clicked play. The narrator prefaced one story by saying that it was emotional. It was about a dog. The story described the person's relationship with this dog, how very special he was, all the way up until the moment he crossed over. Reading about the moment, the narrator's voice was heavy with emotion. After a momentary pause to collect himself, he read, "I told him I would love him, always and forever." Cue the ugly tears. I tried to gather myself as the next story started. I don't remember what the story was about because my attention was elsewhere. I just remember the moment when the narrator read, "What the cinnamon toast crunch." I choose to believe that these coincidences were signs from Cindy. I don't claim to know how they happen. Maybe our loved ones are able to tweak reality through quantum mechanics or simply guide us to where we need to be to receive their signs. Regardless, I'm comforted knowing that Cindy is okay, and she's with me in spirit. I know that we'll meet again. So, thanks for the signs, Cindy Cat. I love you, always and forever. Hi, Raven. I discovered your podcast just a couple of months ago, and it quickly became a favorite on my daily commute. The way you tell stories makes the ordinary feel otherworldly, so thank you for that. After a lot of thought, I decided it might be time to share a few of my own experiences. The story's not that long or scary, but I find it very intriguing and quite strange. I've always had unusually vivid dreams. Some are emotional, others downright unsettling. But what connects them is the way that some of them linger and leave me with this certainty that it's real. I'm a deeply spiritual person and a Christian, and I truly believe there are things that we're not meant to fully understand while we're living in this world. I'm going to tell you about two dreams that I've had that have sort of played into reality in a way that I couldn't have predicted at all. One of the strangest dreams I have ever had involved a woman that I'll call Jay, a longtime family friend of my now husband. To give you some background, Jay has struggled with her mental health for years. She's fragile, often deeply depressed, and has been known to manipulate my husband's parents, especially his mom. If she didn't get a quick reply to a message, or couldn't spend time with them, she would spiral, sometimes calling in tears and saying that she was going to delete herself. When his parents considered moving to the same province where my family lives, Jay would joke about relocating too. But it didn't feel like a joke. She even started looking at houses nearby. Since losing her husband to COVID, things have only worsened. I hate how unfair she treats people around her, and to be honest, I myself don't like to mingle with her. My husband, then boyfriend, has always respected that and basically only tolerates her for his parents' sake. And then came the first dream. I found myself in a white void, completely empty, soundless, and still. Off to one side were two dark, shadowy figures. In front of them stood a blonde woman. She looked calm and sad, and she said, "It's hard for her, she hasn't fully accepted it yet." Somehow in the dream, I knew this woman was Jay's sister, and that she was referring to Jay. There was no doubt in my mind, just a deep, intuitive certainty. The weird thing is, I've never been told about a sister. My partner's family has known her for years, and in the 4 years we've been dating, has also never mentioned it. I woke up feeling quite intrigued and almost heavy, like the grief I had felt in the dream was still hanging over me. I told my then boyfriend about it later that day, laughing nervously about the detail that Jay apparently had a sister. His reaction was not at all what I expected. "You knew she had a sister?" he asked. "She never talks about her." He went to find a photo on his phone, and when he showed it to me, my blood pretty much ran cold immediately. It was the woman from my dream. Blonde, delicate, a bit petite, I would say, and unmistakable. I'm pretty sure she had blue or light green eyes, but I can't remember exactly. My partner explained that Jay's sister had died years ago in a horse riding accident. She never really spoke about it. From that moment on, something shifted. I still struggled with how Jay treated the people around her, but I also saw her with a little more compassion. Somehow, I think I needed that dream to understand the depth of what she carried. She actually passed away due to a health issue that she had ignored about 2 years later, which is why I say carried in the past tense. The second experience happened more recently, involving someone much closer to me, my best friend. In the dream, she looked pale and skeletal. Her eyes were hollow, and she was almost anorexic and deathly. Now, in the dream, I remember specifically saying to her, "You have to stop destroying yourself. It's going to be the end of you." I jolted awake, disturbed, and, quite honestly, concerned that it was some kind of warning. I texted her almost immediately. "Hey, are you okay? I had a weird dream about you." I specifically didn't go into too much detail at first. She replied within minutes. She told me that she had been going through a rough time mentally, especially struggling with her body image after gaining weight. I hadn't noticed, but I understood how much it was affecting her. We talked about it. This was a while back, and she's doing much better now, and I was so glad that I reached out instead of brushing it off. I've had other dreams, but these two seem the most bizarre so far. I have other stories of different kinds that I will share, leaning more towards strange sightings and potential glitches in the Matrix or something to that effect. Thank you for creating such a thoughtful space for these kinds of stories. I truly believe that it does make people feel less alone in this strange world that we live in. This happened about 5 years ago, and to this day, I still don't have a logical explanation. I've gone over it in my head 100 times. Either I hallucinated something too complex to be a dream, or reality slipped for just a moment and I saw behind the curtain. It was a Tuesday afternoon, late October. I remember because the air smelled like damp leaves and the sky had that dull gray tint that tells you rain's about to fall, but it never does. I was on my way home from work, boring, usual route. I live in a mid-sized city, nothing special. I always cut through this residential area because it shaves 10 minutes off of my commute. Same houses, same people walking dogs, same rusted out blue minivan that's been parked crooked in the same driveway for years. Except that day, something was off. As I turned onto this particular street, I noticed a man standing perfectly still at the edge of the sidewalk. Not unusual, right? But he was wearing a dark green trench coat, buttoned all the way up. A wide-brimmed hat, black gloves, like some noir detective from the 40s. He was so still that for a second I thought he was a mannequin. But he turned his head and looked directly at me, and here's where it got weird. When our eyes met, I felt this jolt, like static electricity crawling up my spine. Not fear, just wrongness. Like I wasn't supposed to see him, like he wasn't supposed to be there. I slowed the car, not even on purpose. My brain just froze. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, it looked practiced, like he was imitating what he thought a smile should be. I remember his lips moved, but his eyes didn't. I drove past him slowly, watching the mirror. He didn't move, not an inch. 30 seconds later, I turned back around and drove back. Curiosity got the best of me, and he was gone. Just vanished. Now I know what you're thinking, the guy probably walked away, right? Except every driveway had a clear line of sight. There's no alley, no side street, nowhere he could have ducked out of sight in less than 30 seconds. So I went home and tried to rationalize it, just shake it off. Until 3 days later. That Friday, I stopped by a small antique shop I like. It's tucked between a bookstore and a coffee shop downtown. Place is cluttered, old clocks, rotary phones, vintage radios. As I'm browsing, I see a photo in a cracked leather frame, black and white. It looked like it was from the 1930s or the 40s. I picked it up and froze. It was him. Same coat, same hat, same gloves, same blank, cold smile. He was standing next to an old car in front of a diner. The tag on the back said, Springfield, Illinois, 1941. I dropped the photo. The owner came over and looked at me like I was pale as a ghost, which I probably was, and asked if I was okay. I didn't tell her anything, I just left. I didn't even buy the book that I had picked out. For weeks after that, I could not stop thinking about it. I would drive past the same sidewalk and glance around, but nothing. Never saw him again. But every once in a while, like every few months, I'll see something that makes my stomach drop. I swear I see a flicker of a green trench coat in a crowd or a man standing too still in my peripheral vision. Or I'll hear jazz music faintly when no radio is on. I don't know who or what I saw, but I know this. He was real, and he was not from here. Not from this time, and maybe not even from this reality. Hey Raven, love your channel. I thought I would post a couple of glitch stories. Up until about a year ago, I never experienced any glitches but always wanted to. Be careful what you wish for, I guess. I'm really close with my mom and always have been. I love to hang out with her and we go shopping together a lot. We live in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, so we usually have to drive a while to go shopping. My mom lives about an hour away, so I drive to her town, and then we get into her vehicle and continue on to whatever city we're going to. I always bring my purse, just in case, but I leave it in the vehicle when we go into stores. I have my credit card in my wallet case and my phone. That way, I only need to carry my phone in my pocket. After a day of shopping, we were driving back home. Partway there, I reached into the back seat of the vehicle from the front passenger seat, where I was sitting, and grabbed my purse. I used the chapstick in there and then stuck it back on the floor in the back seat. When we got to my mom's house, we unloaded all of our shopping bags from the back seat and trunk into her living room so that we could separate our stuff. I grabbed my stuff, loaded it into my car, and drove the rest of the way home. When I got everything into my apartment, I realized my purse wasn't there. It wasn't in the car, either, and I realized I never got it from my mom's vehicle. So, I called her, and I told her that I left my purse there, but there really wasn't anything in there that I needed, so I would just grab it when I was up there next. And she looked in her SUV, and it wasn't there. Which makes sense, because we cleaned out the back seat and back trunk area when we brought everything in, and if either of us saw it, we would have grabbed it. It wasn't in her living room, she checked the whole house, and it wasn't anywhere. She said maybe I lost it, but I know that I had it on my way home when I grabbed my chapstick. We stopped once to get sodas at a gas station, but we locked the doors and I left my purse inside. And it couldn't have fallen out because it was on the floor in the back seat, and we were both in the front. I learned, from your podcast, Raven, that sometimes if you ask the universe for your item back, you'll get it. Even though I felt silly, I said out loud, "Hey, universe, I would really appreciate it if you would give me my purse back. I'm moving right now, so you could just drop it in one of the many boxes stacked in the corner if you wanted to." No luck. I'm completely unpacked and no purse. I think it's my mom's vehicle, though. The last time she came to visit, we got into her car and she said, "I got you a cute pair of sweatpants that I saw. They're in the back seat. I also brought a sweater that I bought as a gift and never ended up giving to someone, and I think it would fit Keith. It's also back there." I climbed into the back seat, and the sweatpants were there, but no sweater. She said that she put it in there, and we scoured the whole vehicle. She looked confused, but said that she would check at home. It's not anywhere at her house either. So I think her vehicle swallows stuff and then spits it out into an alternate dimension or something. It's a bit of a joke in the family now. I also have another super short glitch story. I was in my car about to head out of town one day. I was sitting at a stop sign about to turn left onto the highway. I looked left, and I saw a semi-truck coming. I turned and looked right, and the coast was clear, so I turned back to look left and wait for the semi to pass, and it was just gone. The time for me looking at the semi and turning back to it was maybe 5 seconds at most. There was no time for it to turn onto another road, and even if it had, I could see all the possible turnoffs and it was not there. I sat there, and I waited about 10 seconds in case the magically disappearing semi decided to reappear in the same spot. And I didn't feel like getting T-boned by an invisible or reappearing semi-truck. Those are the only 2 glitch stories that I've ever experienced, but they sure threw me for a loop. These days, I feel like there's something up with my cats. Well, I can't call all of them my cats. They're basically strays, but they spend most of their time either in my house or my neighbors. There are 3 cats who visit us the most often. 2 of them are boys and 1 is a girl. One of the boy cats is orange and white in color, but mostly orange, so let's just call him Orange. Another boy cat is gray and white, so we'll call him Gray. The girl cat is also orange and white, but looks completely different than the boy orange cat. She has more white fur, and she's slim in contrast to the orange, who's a chunky guy. Let's call the girl cat Shrimp, because that's the literal English translation of her name in my language. The first time I noticed something weird was one weekday. My dad had left for work, and Orange was sitting in his synthesizer, something my dad would never have allowed. It wasn't my problem, so I ignored him. I forgot something and had to go back in Dad's room, and if my sense of time isn't too distorted, it had not even been 1 minute. This time when I looked, it was Shrimp on the synthesizer. I got confused, but considered the possibility that Shrimp might have won over the spot while I was away, so Orange should be nearby. And his favorite place, other than my room, is our terrace. I checked the stairs, the terrace, all the rooms on that floor, also my room even though my door was shut. I asked Mom who was on the ground floor about Orange, and she said that he's been sunbathing in the lawn for a good half an hour now. I was totally baffled. There is no way I would take Shrimp for Orange, or otherwise. Their faces, their bodies, fur, voice, eyes, sex, everything is different. The day went by, and I eventually just forgot about it. The next time it happened, I was totally sure that I was not imagining things, because I would never get confused between Shrimp and Gray. They have completely distinct voices. Gray has a raspy, low, broken voice, while Shrimp has a high-pitched, melodious, yet annoying voice. I was calling Gray as it was his lunchtime. Generally, he would come on his own, but he hasn't been doing very well lately. He has a persistent cold for a few weeks now. So, I made an effort to find him and take the food to him. I heard him upstairs, the same discontinuous meowing and also sneezing. The other cats don't really sneeze. So I walked upstairs with his bowl following his meows. As I reached the last stair, I saw the end of his tail, which is almost a blackish gray, and it disappeared as he walked into a room. I ran after him. In the moment that I turned to enter the room, I saw Shrimp loitering around. She meowed at me a few times. I kept listening to her meows. No, nothing similar to what I was hearing before. But the room's a dead end. I was standing at the only door. Then my mom shouted from downstairs, and she was scolding me for not giving our sick Gray food at the time, and when I peeked down, I saw Gray rubbing his ears on my mom's leg and looking at the empty spot where his food bowl is usually kept. I felt goosebumps on my arm. I don't know whether it was because of the fact that my cats could teleport, or because I was losing my mind. One more thing. I don't know if it's related or if I'm reading too much into it, but one of the dogs in our neighborhood has started howling often. It might have his personal reasons, but who knows? I don't speak dogs. And another dog, which used to threaten and chase Shrimp, looks like he's suddenly scared of her. I don't understand what's going on among them, but something does feel strange. Hey Raven, first time submitting a story to you. It took me a while to get the courage to do it. Anyway, one night after work, I decided to go to a sports bar around the corner from my job. I work the second shift, so this was pretty late, early morning. I had a few drinks, but I was still coherent. I ordered an Uber and my driver arrived shortly after. While riding in the Uber driver caught my attention, saying, "Look, look," while pointing her finger in the sky. Originally, I looked and just brushed it off, saying, "It's just the full moon." And then I realized that it wasn't actually the moon. It was a huge orange orb way too large to be the moon. All of a sudden, it shifted left and then just dropped out of sight. I wasn't the only one to see it, so I know that I wasn't tripping. Anyway, that's my glitch, Raven. Keep up the good work. So, how are you? Good? Hopefully. Hopefully, yeah, the answer is good, because if not, I'm gonna have to come find you and give you a hug and make you have a good time. That sounded borderline inappropriate. That was not what I meant. I don't think I can save that one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. Stories about the awkwardness and strangeness of our existence. Stories that fall under the supernatural umbrella. Stories that don't necessarily prove we're in a simulation, but they hint at it. Is the best way to put it. So, friends, hopefully you enjoyed them. Let's talk personal anecdote about random things here. Not really about anything random, not really an anecdote, just talking, I like to do. So as of this last weekend, Saturday to be exact, we are completely done with the move out of Kansas, sorry. I know that may be like, well, Raven, I thought you were already done with that. We were already done moving our stuff. We had to go back into town one more time to get our vacuum, from the duplex, and because we left the cleaning stuff there because we couldn't quite fit it in my car last time, but we went and got the last few things, the cleaning stuff, basically, and put it in the car, drove over to the real estate office that we rented from, and we dropped the keys off at the real estate office. And then we stayed at a hotel. It was a Best Western. After we dropped the keys off, we went swimming. Actually, we went swimming before we dropped the keys off. That's not the point. We went swimming. We had dinner. We slept all night. Got up. Had breakfast, which was pretty good. Not exquisite, as the one reviewer of the Best Western said it was, but it was pretty good. And then we got on the road, and actually we went to Dutch Bros first, because there's no Dutch Bros here in Minnesota, so went to Dutch Bros, had their mudslide mocha, which is Irish cream and mocha. It's Irish cream flavoring. It's not alcoholic. I want to make sure that's known. I was driving for 6 hours, and I was not having that good of a time. Anyways, so we had that. It was fantastic. And then we got on the road. Took a little bit extra time to get home because we didn't have anything rushing us here because it was still Friday. So, got here. And that was it. We ordered pizza whenever we got back. And then fell asleep about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and woke up about 5:30 the next morning. Slept for 12 hours. You know what that 12-hour sleep was? Some may say, wow, you're lazy. I'm going to say that was the body releasing the burden of this move being completely over. So the burden is gone. And we both crashed pretty hard, so. Yeah. We're done. We're Minnesotans now. No longer Kansans. Yeah. Anyways, that has nothing to do with the stories. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the stories, please hit the like button. If you're new to the channel and liked what you heard, please consider subscribing. You can also join Patreon or memberships, get early access to content like this. You can also see me on Saturday nights, where I typically do live streams over here on YouTube. Just come in and say hi. See how it's going. Yeah. Let's see. There's something else. Oh, listen to the podcast in longer formats over on Spotify, Audible, etc., etc. And send in your stories and find information on every single thing I just said at astheravendreams.com. Yeah. The other thing we do on Glitch videos on Mondays, or Tuesdays, or whatever, is the word of the week. Last week, the word of the week was hue. It was a pretty easy word to use, so a good number of you left a comment with hue, and I appreciate it. Hue is a fun word to say, just because it's a short word and it's got a fun hue. It says like an upward inflection in its existence, so that's how my brain works. Anyways, yeah, fun time. On the screen right now and several moments prior to now, probably, is a collection of all the people who left comments with the word hue last week in the video. All these people went above and beyond, and for that, I say thank you so very much. Leaving comments on videos is one of the best ways to get the video pushed, help the channel grow. Please do that on Glitch videos, but also remember to do it on other videos, because it helps the channel grow. Like I said, you don't have to, it's appreciated. Just liking the video or just watching it all the way through helps a lot too. Anyways, thank you to each and every single one of you who left a comment with hue last week. You are amazing. Thank you. If you didn't, that's totally okay too. So, moving on to this week's word of the week. This week, the word of the week was recommended by a good friend of mine, Cindy. Cindy messaged me with a word of the week thing that she gets, apparently, that had the word incent. I-N-C-E-N-T. Now, incent is a fun word because it is a verb, and it kind of means the same thing as incentivize. In fact, one of the definitions of incent is incentivize. But it means to provide a reward or benefit to induce action, to provide someone with incentive, inspire, or motivate. So whenever you incent someone, you are motivating them either with reward or benefits to get them to do something. So again, very similar to incentivize. So use the word incent in a sentence in the comments. Get it featured at the end of next week's Glitch video. Yeah. Gone on too long. My little story took too long. So anyways, hope you all have a beautiful week. Hope I see you again here very soon. Until then, remember, you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you are the best you that you can be. Do not forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Until next time, my friends, much love, and sleep well.